Welcome, everybody. HogvilleNet YouTube Live post game. The Arkansas Razorbacks fall flat once again. That was the headline in my post game story 76-66 to the Georgia Bulldogs on the road for the first time in a true road game this season for the Arkansas Razorbacks men's basketball team. A 10-point loss. Arkansas opens SEC play now 0-2. That's the second time that's happened in the last 3 years. We know Arkansas typically gets off to rough starts in league play. That'll be the case again in 2023-24. Arkansas begins SEC play 0-2. And after a 3 losses and 4 games skid to finish November, really the worst November ever under Eric Musselman at Arkansas now in year 5. The Hogs then took some lumps in December when you look at, what happened against OU. The Hogs did win 5 of 6 there, but already opening league play, 32-point home loss to a ranked Auburn team, a very good Auburn team on Saturday. It was the worst ever defeat at Bud Walton Arena for the Razorbacks in, 522 games. And you come on the road and you lay another egg, really. We'll talk about a couple of positives in this game, but there wasn't much. Look, Georgia's won 10 in a row now, 2-0 start in league play for the Dogs. But this is a team, from a talent standpoint, Arkansas's got more talent. It's just not a good basketball team. The individual pieces are not equating to winning. And you see Georgia. I mean, Georgia's got some decent players, but 10 wins in a row speaks plainly enough to how well that team's playing in terms of finding ways to win. But the Bulldogs weren't great tonight. When I'm going to go through some of this, Arkansas just can't capitalize. And outside of another one of those games by Tremont Mark, there wasn't much else in support of him to help Arkansas. And there were so many areas where I thought Arkansas did a poor job. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Arkansas is getting out coached on top of everything else. I think it starts at the top. I don't think you just blame coaches, and I don't think you just blame players, but it does start at the top. And I just think that teams are coming in. Eric Musselman's one of the best in the business at game planning. I don't know about adjustments all the time with him. Especially this season, and this is an Arkansas team that is soft to begin with. And so there were times tonight where the Razorbacks battled and gave themselves a chance, but they never could get over the hump. And a lot of that is just, to me, some of that mental fragility, especially in clutch situations. And after getting blown out at home by 32 points, I don't know what fans were expecting tonight in the first true road game of the season at Georgia. I guess there's another way to look at it, that Arkansas showed some improvement. I don't know about that, especially that first half. Arkansas trailed by 30-17, so the 13-point deficit a couple of times in that first half. Got within 10 at halftime, if you want to put it that way. 34-24. If you want to look at those 24 first half points combined with the 51 total scored against Auburn, just simple math tells me Arkansas was only able to score 75 points combined in the last 3 halves of basketball. Arkansas scored better in the second half, but really only managed to draw in this game when the dust settled in those final 20 minutes, because the final margin was 10 points. Now, Arkansas did get within 3 kind of down the stretch, about 6 or 7 minutes left in the game. I think Brazil made 1 of 2 free throws. Arkansas pulled within 58-55. Davenport hit a deep corner 2. Then it was 60-57. So coming down the stretch, Arkansas was in position, down only 1 possession. But Brazil misses the front end of a 1-and-1 that could have closed it even more. It was still 60-57 at that point. Georgia comes back on the other end and makes 2 free throws to extend the cushion to 5 points. And I thought that Abdur Rahim, as good as job as Arkansas did defensively on him throughout the game, kept the Georgia's leading scorer in check for most of that game, but hit a big 3 when Arkansas went to a zone defense. We don't see it much. Drive inside of that defense, though. So you got penetration for Georgia. Kick out, not a great pass on the kick out, but Raheem shoots over that zone defense, hits a 3, and it extended. It doubled the lead at that point. Went from a 3-point edge at that point to 65-59. And once you got inside 4 minutes, that's, Georgia basically just put the game away. I think Arkansas got within 5 points a couple of times in there. But the better team won. Georgia's a better basketball team than Arkansas. The Razorbacks 9-6 now, 0-2 to start league play. The Hogs have lost back-to-back games after winning 5 of 6. Effectively, to finish out November, that home win against Duke. A very good Duke team, and a top 10 ranked team at that time. I think the Blue Devils are ranked 11th now. Then you had the bad loss to OU. Then you ran off. You finished the month off the right way. There's not much to say about Arkansas right now. The Hogs will stay on the road. Game Florida is the next destination. School's still out, no classes, so Arkansas's not coming back here between games. Not to Fayetteville, not to Arkansas. Going to stay on the road. The Hogs will play a Gators team that's a very good basketball team that's also stumbled out of the blocks here in SEC play with a couple of losses and will be looking to get back on track at home. And so, this is just a situation where if you're an Arkansas Razorback fan, you're wondering, well, we've seen Arkansas teams really struggle in the past to open league play. 2-4 3 years ago. 0-3 to start league play 2 years ago. Last season, 1-5. But remember, Arkansas lost 3 out of 4 games in November. That was unprecedented for a Muslim team to even lose 3 games in non-conference play, let alone all in November. Then again, I mentioned the debacle against OU, and now you've started this way in league play. And this Arkansas team, when you look at it defensively, not very good. The hustle plays, a lot of these areas where Arkansas really struggles. And you saw that tonight. I thought Arkansas opened the game very poorly. Offensive foul turnover on Mekhi Mitchell, followed by 4 3-point attempts by Arkansas. No pressure on the rim whatsoever, no paint penetration. Meanwhile, Georgia jumps out to a 6-0 lead at home. Arkansas brings in Jalen Graham, starts to pressure the rim a little bit. He does some decent work inside and gets fouled. And, here's a guy that goes 1 of 6 at the free throw line tonight. 9 points, 4 of 8 from the field, 1 rebound, 1 block, and 1 turnover, whatever many minutes he got. Not a good night for Jalen Graham. I mentioned Tremont Mark, 24 points, 7 of 14 from the field, but 0 of 4 from 3, 10 of 10 at the line. Team high 7 rebounds. That 24 points was a game high. 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. Probably his best game when you look across the stat sheet and you're thinking, I expected to see more of this from him, this deep into the season. He's had an 11 rebound game in a double-double effort. He's been Arkansas's most consistent scorer on the season. And it was really just kind of Mark against Georgia a lot in this game. And as good as he was at times, it was never, you just never felt like Arkansas was going to win without some others stepping up. About the only other person I thought was a positive in the second half really was probably Jeremiah Davenport. 7 points, 4 rebounds. Did a really good job, too, of keeping balls alive off the glass, even when he didn't secure a rebound. He was really battling in there. He had an assist, only 1 of 5 from 3. He did hit a deep corner, too. They counted it as a 2. It looked like a 3 when it initially came off his, shooting hands. But it was ruled a 2. So, Davenport helped Arkansas a little bit. Trevor Brazil had a couple of really sweet putback dunks, but a poor night for him at the free throw line. In fact, it was a bad night for Arkansas all around. When you look at the free throw line, better in the second half. Most of that was on the strength of Mark. Everybody else stunk it up. Battle had a bad night. He's been in a slump, a scoring slump. 1 of 8 from the field. I see comments coming over. 1 of 8. I think that included 1 of 4 from 3. Went through some of these stats. Devo Davis, 7 points, 6 rebounds, only 1 turnover, but man, he had some defensive lapses. The Hogs had some really bad defensive possessions when they would get it close and then just kind of let go of the rope on defense. This was also a game where I mentioned how Arkansas started. Arkansas did a better job of trying to get into its drive game, especially in the second half. I mean, of those 24 points, I think Mark scored 18 in the second half. A lot of that was off drives, some pull-up jumpers in there. He was tough. But other than that, I mean, in Arkansas, I mentioned it took out the score for Georgia, only 5 points. He did hit that big shot late that extended that team to a 6-point lead, and Arkansas really never overcame that. But other than that, Arkansas really had a hard time with defending Justin Hill, Thomason, both of those guys went off. Hill with 19 points, Thomason 15. And I thought Melendez, the transfer from Illinois, who faced the Hogs in the NCAA tournament first round last year, 10 points and 8, made all of his free throws, but 5 big rebounds. And he had a putback late in that stretch where Arkansas was trying to get over the top, get over the hump, and couldn't. And I thought that was really big. So those 3 guys really hurt Arkansas. Other guys did too. They're, this is I mean, it's a bad Arkansas team right now. I don't know what else to say. 9-6 after 15 games. You're halfway through the season now. You're outside the net, top 100. This was Arkansas's first quad 2 result of the season. So 0-1 in quad 2. Hogs are 1-4 in quad 1. 3-1 in quad 3. The Greensboro loss counts as Q3, and 5-0 against Q4. So there is no bubble for the Hogs. You're not sniffing a bubble right now. You're outside the top 100 in net. Still plenty of quad 1 win opportunities to come, including what should be a quad 1 win opportunity against Florida. Graham missing another dunk is almost a metaphor of our season. A lot of missed layups and dunks. A lot of stuff at the rim that was missed tonight. I think the other thing is I'm a little lethargic tonight, folks. Been under the weather for a few days. I think one of the other things that stood out to me was how many times Arkansas passes got deflected tonight. And it just shows you how lazy the attention to detail is. Just routine passes on the perimeter, trying to get entries. Mekhi Mitchell drew a start tonight. A guy that started most of the season last year. Was efficient, 7 points, 3 of 4 from the field, made his only free throw attempt, gave Arkansas 6 rebounds, but 4 turnovers. And there were a lot of plays that weren't a turnover or necessarily a bad pass, but him over dribbling, hunting for a shot or something when guys were breaking wide open. And so some of those possessions that weren't technically turnovers didn't result in good shots. Some of that was because of the way Mekhi Mitchell was playing. Chandler Lawson was no help at all. He checked in early and fumbled the ball around, traveled. Didn't give Arkansas much off the bench at that 5 spot. I thought Graham was, I mentioned 1 rebound, 1 of 6 from the free throw line, and just got toasted on defense too many times. Just a soft effort all around for Arkansas again. When you look at it defensively, even though you only give up 76 points, you look at some of the stats. We're going to go through it. Arkansas 24 of 60 from the field, 40% overall. They were better in the second half, but what was a killer was the 3 of 21 from 3, 14.3%. You hope that if you only make 3 threes that you didn't take more than 14 or 15 in a game. Arkansas jacked it up 21 times. Really, I thought got off to a poor start, settling for threes early. And got out to an 0-4 start there. 15 of 22 at the foul line, 68.2%. Mark was 10 of 10. All of that came in the second half, I think, for him. Maybe a couple of those in the first half, but most of it in the second half. 15 of 22. So you take him out of the equation. Everyone else was 5 of 12 at the foul line. He was the only double-digit scorer for the Hogs, by the way, Tremont Mark. Conversely, Georgia wasn't great from the field, 25 of 60, 1 more made field goal, 41.7%. Arkansas did some good things, I think, defensively at times, but soft and just too many stretches where they just let go of the road. But 9 of 27 from 3. I thought Georgia started the game great, pressuring the rim and getting inside 6-0 lead, and the Bulldogs started settling for threes. They took some late in the game when Arkansas would try to trap and force the ball out of the ball handler's hands to speed up the game. Arkansas was down 2 or 3 possessions, and Georgia took some early clock threes that kind of played into this poor percentage for them. I thought it was odd that Georgia made some poor decisions on its own, not forced by Arkansas, by the way, just kind of tempted a little bit. But 9 of 27, it's a huge gap. Arkansas 3 of 21, Georgia 9 of 27 from 3 for 33.3%. And then 17 of 22 at the foul line for 77.3%. So 2 more made free throws in the same amount of attempts. Arkansas was bad in the free throw game, bad in the 3-point line game, and Georgia made 1 field goal more overall. But so advantage Georgia in the shooting game, in all three phases, even though it was fairly close in the overall field goals. Turnovers, Georgia +2, 15-13. But here's the biggest hill. Points off of turnovers, the Bulldogs 25-10, +15 there. Some of that, when you look at the fast break, 11-6, Georgia advantage, +5 there. Some of that's coming off those turnovers. Arkansas was competitive on the glass. We talk about hustle plays and blue collar plays. Only -1 in the total rebounds, 40-39, but +1 on offensive rebounds, 10-9, and +1 in second chance points, 10-9. It's just not enough of a gap when you're getting kicked around in the 3-point game and the free throw line, and then the turnover battle. Arkansas was +8 in points in the paint, 34-26. So, um, Arkansas 11 assists on 24 made field goals, less than 50% of those. Um, you know, the Hogs, did have, I guess, a decent second half scoring the ball. Guys, if I look dejected, it's not. I've been a little under the weather, and I'm very lethargic tonight, and probably, there's probably a taint of depression here, but that's not what's really going on. I'm fatigued and making excuses, but it's a little late, and I probably need to get an early night in tonight. So we're 16 minutes in, a little over 16 minutes. Glad if you're joining me. It was a late start. Odd to start at an Eastern time zone game at 9 o'clock there, 8 o'clock here. TV works, and we know that the way TV works, especially when you get into the SEC play, you're going to have that 6, 8 o'clock start on just about every channel in college basketball. And I was surprised they didn't figure out a way with Georgia hosting a game to play it earlier, but they didn't, and it's whatever. I mean, it's late here as we jump in and do this. But look, Arkansas, I mean, I went through the stats. I mean, Arkansas, again, is just in the bulk of it you see how you lose, and you lost by double digits again. Back-to-back games, double-digit losses. Even the Oklahoma loss, as bad as it was, ended up, the final score was only by 9 points. Misleading, as it felt like a 20-point defeat. You lose by 32 against Auburn. You lose by 10. You were double, 15 or so point loss to North Carolina over in the Bahamas. And we know when Arkansas lost to Greensboro, the final margin was 6 points, but Greensboro held a lot of double-digit leads in that second half. It's just been a lot of that for Arkansas, really, when you look at it this year. The come-from-behind win at home against Abilene Christian. Arkansas trailed by 9 early in the second half. It's just a lot of Arkansas losing its way. Arkansas losing its way for too long stretches in games. And again, Arkansas battled within 3 a couple of times down the stretch of this game and just couldn't make the front of it a 1-1. Couldn't get a finish. Couldn't get a stop. And so you end up breaking even in the second half. You were down 10 at halftime, you lost by 10. So even though you could maybe point to some positives, say, well, first true road game against a good Georgia team on a roll, Arkansas gave itself a chance and positioned itself in the last 6 or 7 minutes, to find a way to get over the hump. And again, I go back to it. Well, that's true. I mean, there's something positive there. Most of that's on Tremont Mark, just kind of hero balling it. We saw that against North Carolina. We've seen him carry Arkansas through stretches. And I just don't think you can say, okay, that's a real positive, because you got to have more than one guy doing it. And you ended up losing, I think, partly because of that. You can't just have one guy flying through with the cape and that's it. I mean, these teams are too good to do that and to count on one. And again, you had moments from a guy like Jeremiah Davenport. I thought Davenport really played hard. I thought, again, he got on the glass. I think Arkansas ended up getting a team rebound because he deflected, or what would have been an easy rebound for Georgia. He fought, hustled, deflected it off the player, and it went out of bounds in Arkansas's ball. You need Joe Klein. Look, again, I'm going to go back to it. This starts from the top down. Eric Milsman keeps talking about the great practices his teams have. He's talked about it all year. It's not translating. It's not carrying over to games. And, guys look like, Arkansas's got veteran. This is a team with years and years of combined collective Division I experience. A lot of those guys are returning for Arkansas, and you just don't see a team playing with poise enough. And there were some runs. Arkansas showed some toughness and grit at times, but overall, it's just not enough there. And I can roll back through these hustle plays and go back through it again if you need me to. to make that point. I mean, rebound the glass was basically break even. Arkansas was a little better points in the paint, +8. That's a good cushion on the road. But when you look at turnovers and points off turnovers and that fast break, and it's just, and then you just can't be, Arkansas had to be better at the free throw line and better from three, or they had to take fewer threes if they couldn't be better and get down into that paint more often. But again, you had one guy effectively doing that in the offense. You know, Tremont Marks. He had one guy on board tonight, all in. Keon Minifield Jr. haven't brought his name up. He didn't scratch tonight. Had an off night, poor game, 0 for 5 from the field, didn't score. I mentioned Lawson checked in, wasn't able to help Arkansas. He's kind of been hot and cold through the season. At times he's helpful. Tonight, not there. And I thought when he looked at Jalen Graham and Mekhi Mitchell combining for 16 points, they both of them stunk it up too much. Graham not rebounding, defending. Mekhi Mitchell with all the turnovers and the ball sticking to him too much. I think Arkansas's. In Brazil, we haven't talked a lot about him. He did have 9 points tonight, and I think 6 rebounds. This has kind of been what he's done, just kind of bumped along with a couple of wow plays here and there. You're like, wow, we need more from Trevor in Brazil if you're looking at it as a Hog fan. If we could get a dominant big man like Andrew Lang, right, we're going back in time. Joe Klein, Andrew Lang, back when they played basketball in the 80s at Arkansas. I don't know. It's not like Arkansas is the only team to have NIL. This team is mentally weak. The talent is there. Yeah, it's a fragile team. It is a fragile team. There's just not enough. I just don't see tough guys in there. I don't. And, all of Eric Musselman's teams end up being really good defensively. They maybe weren't great defensively while they struggled, but once they get over the hump, finishing seasons top 10, top 11, top 17, last 3 years, respectively, and KenPom defensive efficiency. This team came in tonight around 99th. I did not check KenPom. They usually update on the same day, and I keep forgetting to do that before I come on here. By the way, I hope those spots are gone. Maybe they're not. Folks thought I was having smudges or fingerprints, but I kept cleaning the lens. It wasn't that. And I figured out it was something else that was causing that, and did a little self-performed surgery on it. So we'll see. Maybe this one comes out a little cleaner. So at least there's something positive there. Corliss Williamson has a son that plays basketball, but I don't know if he's graduated high school yet. Would be good. I mean, he has 2 sons that are playing right now. One's that plays for the Little Rock Trojans, a freshman who's a forward, 6'8" forward, and Corliss Williamson. That's Creed Williamson. Corliss Williamson Jr. is a guard and a senior at class of 2024 at Little Rock Christian Academy. So we need a Corliss. Yeah, so we're going back in time for what Arkansas needs. And I don't see, Arkansas's got problems on the front line for sure. I think Arkansas's got a lot of problems in the backcourt as well. Devo Davis has underperformed this year. Tremont Mark has been mostly a scorer. Now, he's had some games where he's done more, and this was one of them. Hadn't been enough of those. And Keon Minifield Jr. has been a nice spark offensively until tonight. Defensively, he's had some opportunistic steals in a few plays. Arkansas is just not. I mean, we could, there's not. Caleb Battle's been mostly an offensive player. Lately, he's really struggled to hit shots and score. He's not. He's not only not getting double figure scoring lately, but he's below 5 points in several games here, 5 or less, and so that's not helpful for the Hogs. Davenport's never caught fire this year. Even though he played hard tonight, 1 of 5 from 3. So, you'd like to see a little, you'd like to see a lot more from him in that catch and shoot 3 game off good ball movement. He did some other stuff tonight. I thought he was actually a positive in that second half. I mean, let's give him some credit. One of his buckets in those 7 points was on a putback, offensive rebound, scored in the paint. Again, he hit a 3, then he hit a deep corner 2. They called it a 2. He did some good stuff, but 1 of 5 from three. Just it's just part of a snowball there from behind the arc tonight. 3 of 21 for the Hogs, 14.3%. It's hard to go on the road and do that and be awful at the foul line. And then not you almost had to clean up in the turnovers and rebounds. Arkansas broke even on the glass, got clobbered in the points off turnovers and fast break. Didn't go the Hogs' way either. Um, there's not a lot to go on to this other than Arkansas could be looking at a stretch of more losses. I mean, obviously any game can turn for you, and you could find a way to win and turn your fortunes. But the previous three teams have, really had bad starts in SEC play. 0-2 is only probably scratching the surface of how bad it can be for this team. And so I'm not sure what's going to give here. A win at Florida would be a quad one win and be a great way to do it before you come home and play an A&M team that was picked in the top three in the SEC in preseason. The Aggies have had their struggles, but I don't know. I think Arkansas is probably struggling more. Player leadership's another thing. I mean, you just don't see. Again, I go back to just poor decision making. I thought Arkansas started the game taking too many perimeter shots. A lot of the passes tonight, when you weren't turning it over 15 times, a lot of your offense was disrupted by deflected. I don't know how many times Georgia got their hands in passing lanes and deflected Arkansas's weak passes and just lazy looking pass. I'm sitting there going, when do they clean that up? Who's on their ass right now to get them to lock in and be a little better with the basketball, be a lot better with the basketball? Arkansas was its own worst enemy. A lot of it was unforced turnovers and just, to me, going through motions. When you get guys going through motions, that's when it feels lackadaisical. That's when you see a lot of that stuff with turnovers and, having so many errant passes or deflected passes. Now, we can't just hang Arkansas through 40 minutes as a team that was lackluster. This is a team that, gave itself a chance in the last 6 or 7 minutes with pulling within one possession, a 3-point deficit. You cannot completely dismiss that because they trailed by 13 a couple of times in the first half, by 10 points at halftime, by 11 points in the early stages of the second half. So Arkansas whittled away, never got over the hump. Again, the stuff we went through, the negatives I keep pointing out, were things that came back to haunt the Hogs. All right, we're almost 30 minutes in, 27 minutes. We're going to wrap this up really soon. On a recruiting note, a source told me today that the Hogs offered a 5-star national top 20 big guard wing, 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", Taj Ariva. He's the son of a long-time 18-year vet, Trevor Ariva. Most basketball fans know who that is. But the son, another highly regarded big guard. His dad was a big guard. Really, kind of a 3-and-D type of guy at the NBA level, mostly D. But this is a young man that's highly coveted, got a lot of blue blood offers. Arkansas offered a scholarship to that class of 2026 5-star. We know that Arkansas's got a couple of in-state offers to class of 2026 guys. One's a 5-star in Jashawn J.J. Andrews. Another one should be a 5-star, probably will be eventually in 6'6" guard Jacob Lanier. Andrews at Little Rock Christian Academy, Lanier at Maumelle, but Arkansas's got another 5-star offer out when you look at 2026, Taj Ariva. So that's interesting. He plays out in California at St. Bernard's, a school out there. So that offer came out today. It was very interesting to see Arkansas staying busy in recruiting, even though the team's on the road. You're constantly juggling balls, got many balls in the air. When you're a high major coach, you got to handle recruiting at all times and don't drop the ball there, even if you're struggling trying to coach your team. But I thought that was interesting. Arkansas, we talked about visitors for that Auburn game. I think they had between 8 and 10, multiple guys in there. A 5-star in that 2026 class that's held at Arkansas all for a while. Sam Funchess, 6'11" forward center out of Germantown, Mississippi. He was in the house for the Auburn game. So Arkansas is going to continue to try to maximize, make the best of these home opportunities on weekends. There'll be more later down the road, but Arkansas stays on the road this weekend for Florida. We mentioned that. Then it's a midweek game at home against Texas A&M next week. All right, we're getting close. Oh, we just rolled 30. I'm going to sign off, say goodnight, finish up my game story, put some Musselman quotes. I think the post-game press conference, which I did not get to watch. I did not get to see that tonight, but I'll go back and watch that and get the quotes in there. So I'm interested to see what Musselman says. Maybe he has some more positive takeaways than I do. Good night, amiga. Oh, GP, Greg Parker. Good to see you. Yeah, GP. Good to see you. Come chime in here on the chat, on the scroll. All right, Arkansas loses its SEC road opener. First true road game of the season, by the way. 76-66, 10-point loss. Back-to-back double-digit losses. 0-2 start in league play for the second time in the last 3 seasons. Arkansas is now 9-6 overall. A lot of opportunities, a lot of great game opportunities, quad one win opportunities coming up. But for now, until we see you next time, see you then.